Hi everyone, this is Molly McCord and welcome to my YouTube channel. We're going to take a look at the Scorpio New Moon, which is happening on October 27th, 2019 at 8:38 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, or October 28th, depending on your location on the planet, as it's happening early in the morning, Greenwich Mean Time. So every new moon is a time of inner union, when the sun and the moon are exactly conjunct at the same point in the sky. Here we have them together at 4 degrees of Scorpio, 25 minutes. And when you have the sun and the moon together, it's the feminine and the masculine, the yin and the yang, the reunion and reintegration of the two since their last pairing, which would have been the new moon in Libra. Now, the sun and the moon in Scorpio is an intense connection into your emotional well-being, into where you go to feel things that others don't see. It is a very private energy. It is a place of looking at where your emotions can drive you. This is a passionate energy, ambitious. It's ready to get things going, to make something happen when that Scorpio energy knows where to go, when it has a goal, when it has an intention, when it has something that will be a reward. Scorpio energy is how we merge first within ourselves, but also within others. It's how we share ourselves through intimacy. So in your astrology chart, look at where 4 degrees of Scorpio is, and this is the energy that's being highlighted for you in that particular house, the house where 4 degrees of Scorpio shows up. You're being asked by the universe to set an intention here around the Scorpio themes in our lives and to honor where you're ready to step into a new sense of power. This should be a healthy power. This is a power that honors what you've learned, the fears you've grown through, the parts of yourself that have transformed throughout your lifetime. Scorpio is associated with transformation. Scorpio is associated, in fact, with 3 types of archetypes. It's commonly known as being connected to the scorpion, which is the Scorpio that will sting you, that wants revenge, that will get back at you for something. The second energy is the Phoenix rising, which is the energy of deep transformation, going through the dark night of the soul, but being very determined to rise up and above. And then the third archetype of Scorpio is the eagle. And the eagle now has wisdom. The eagle sees things from a higher vantage point and understands what's worth its emotional energy, and it can see into truth. So all these themes are very strong during the Scorpio new moon. But we have some jolting energies in the sky with this sun and moon opposing Uranus at 4 degrees of Taurus retrograde. This is the planet of shock and disruption. There's an awakening here, and I'm feeling it as a freedom. If you've been working on something intensely, it's been emotional and deep, it's changed you permanently, this new moon can set you free through this opposition to Uranus that says, I am done. The chapter's complete. I don't want to go down that tunnel. I don't want to go into that emotional experience anymore. I am ready to awaken to a new way of working with my emotional underworld and to essentially come back up to the earth and set myself free. So there's a turning point here with this new moon, and it's asking you to look at what you now find important and valuable, and to see how you've transmuted many things that perhaps you even took on from other people. Now you can see that there's a lineup here of planets in Scorpio. Not only is it the sun and the moon, but we also have Venus at 24 degrees, Pallas Athena at 25 degrees, and Mercury at 26 degrees. Now, Mercury is going very slow right now and will be stationing retrograde on October 31st. So all three of these planets are traveling together. They are helping you get to something deeper within you, especially within relationship patterns, power dynamics, anything around codependence, where you have used emotions in a healthy or unhealthy manner. The strong focus on Scorpio is asking us to dive in to what needs to be healed so that we can feel powerful with it. And to understand, too, that sometimes with Scorpio, we've absorbed energies from other people. Scorpio is associated with the misuse of power, with abuse, with areas of our lives that we've taken on other people's energies and have potentially harmed us. So then part of the Scorpio transformation is the undoing of that harm and the getting to the truth of your own energy field, of your own sense of this is my responsibility and this is not. And when you tap into that, you are the phoenix rising, and you rise up to become the eagle who sees a whole situation from a new standpoint, a new viewpoint. So there's a heavy focus here on transformation, and that is especially strong during Scorpio season here in 2019. Now, these planets do have an interesting story going on, because the sun and the moon are receiving an opposition from Uranus. There's a quincunx here from Chiron at 2 degrees of Aries retrograde that's feeling like how to be yourself, to be courageous, to be independent in relationships with others, in intimate relationships with others. How do you bring your power into some of these relationships? That could be a tricky energy that you're sitting with or thinking through during this new moon. And then another energy that's happening has to do with this Mars. And Mars is at 15 degrees of Libra, not strong in Libra. Mars has to be in conversation, negotiate, diplomatic, talk it out. He sits at the desk. He really prefers to be off roaming and running and in action. And here he's a diplomat. And during this new moon, he's making an exact square to Saturn at 15 degrees of Capricorn, and then we'll be making a square to Pluto at 15 degrees of Capricorn. So this masculine energy that's looking for harmony and peace is basically having his will overrun by another outside authority or outside power. So there could be a lack of peace at this time. There could be a lack of being able to take the actions you want to take because of outside forces. And it can really rile you up. You could feel very passionately about what's not happening, for example. It seems like with this new moon chart, with all the focus, or much of the focus, I should say, in Scorpio, we are going within to see new aspects of our power, to see new understandings of our shadows, to understand how emotions have been running us behind the scenes, to understand more about how we show up in an honest way with other people, and to continue to do the inner work with greater trust in yourself. And I'm just feeling so strongly that the Scorpio energy is tapping into, it's like I'm seeing these jars or these containers that we're meant to open and work with. And I feel it as magic. It's like an apothecary, and the magic, the herbs, the ingredients that make something really powerful. It just feels like there's something new here to understand around how you can show up in the world, be yourself, feel powerful, feel strong. And if you make that your intention during this new moon, there's more magic to be experienced. And whatever is initiated at this time, you'll still be playing with it throughout November as Mercury stations retrograde October 31st and goes back to 13 degrees of Scorpio until November 20th. So there's something throughout November that's being played with, understood, experienced. I'm also feeling a deep exfoliation of what you're done with. Because when the planet enters Scorpio, it begins to do intense work, if that's its intention, if that's what it wishes to experience. And then by the time it exits Scorpio, it's been transformed. I'm getting the image right now of a car wash. All right, so the car wash is starting here with this Scorpio new moon. It lasts into November. And it could be a very deep cleansing of this past decade as we're about to enter a whole new decade. It could be a return to yourself in a very powerful way. But again, this opposition is reminding you that things have shifted. You've changed. You're meant to change. You're done with something in a very big way. And then you're going through a car wash. And in a car wash, it's never washed just once. There's all these layers of the water and soap and scrubs and brushes. So there's many layers of it, but it's really essential to not take anything forward, to not take any of that grime or dirt forward. And I feel like Scorpio season is showing us, okay, so what I'm feeling now are these new light codes coming in throughout Scorpio season this year. And that's new energy from the sun. That's coming through the solar system and coming into our energetic aura, our sense of what's now possible. So that feels really strong. And that's why it's essential to move through anything that's been hanging on to you, that's been intense, emotional, it's really been a deep part of your journey. There's a lot of support for healing it now because Scorpio heals. Scorpio heals in its highest expression. So perhaps make that your intention even during this new moon of what you're ready to heal, what you're ready to complete in this past decade of our journey. And right here, this is Obsidian. And Obsidian is a wonderful grounding, protective, clearing stone. And I thought that would be very supportive for the energy of this chart. And then this is a crystal quartz that I dug up. I had it in the last video for the Aries full moon. I actually dug this up myself, and I think it's just gorgeous. And it has a lot of clear points and energy to it that I think is part of what we're working through. And then I also thought, well, these are good energies for cleansing the shadow and supporting the growth, supporting the soul growth of this intense Scorpio new moon. So I hope this has given you some good things to think about and to sit with as we move through Scorpio season and we finish off the last few months of 2019. And if you want to see what 2020 holds for you, I do have a program for you that covers all the astrology, the major transits and retrogrades of 2020. You grab your astrology chart, and over the course of 3 webinars, I show you what to look for, some themes, some tips, some ways to work with the energies, what's coming up. And then I also talk about the 6 eclipses. Yes, 6 eclipses of 2020. So you can find the information below this video. And I hope that it supports what we are all moving into in the next decade. So thanks for joining me. Have a beautiful Scorpio new moon, and get ready for some magic.